Hi, welcome to Audiobook Academy. This is a self-paced audiobook. There's no need to keep an eye on things. Just pay attention. Thank you for taking the time to listen. In order to make sense of the world, our frames of reference are really important to us. These are what we refer to as attitudes. Are inextricably linked to our motivation and motivate us to take action. In other words, our leadership styles are influenced by our thoughts. For more than 2 decades, I've worked in the field of human resources for a long time, as well as organizational growth, assisting employees and organizations in their search for and help them reach their full potential. Recently, I worked with a group of researchers on a project. From the University of Stanford, we looked into the topic of long-term organizations and discovered that it's not only about changing your mindset. Can have an impact on your leadership style. A lot of skills are put into practice by gifted leaders. Mindsets that are distinct from those of others. In this course, we'll talk about new mindsets, new ways of thinking, and new ways of doing things. How each can influence the way you lead and assist you in bringing better work experiences forward. For both you and your stakeholders, so come along with me on this journey of knowledge, as well as a voyage of creating new experiences with one another. Do you recall the Volkswagen Recall from 2011? Was it a case of forgetfulness or incompetence? It was a state of mind. A mindset is a collection of beliefs, methods, or ideas. One or more people are in charge. Mindsets are discussed in psychology as deeply ingrained ideas. In fact, a perspective can become so ingrained that it becomes impossible to change it. That it has the potential to be a powerful motivator, absorb or adapt a behavior indefinitely. That is exactly what was going on within the VW Corporation. A mindset can develop in a number of ways. Allow me to attempt to explain. As a result, we call them come to life with their own genetic makeups. We all have distinct skills, abilities, and capacities. That is biodiversity, and it is unavoidable. Following that, we are exposed to a variety of early experiences that influence how we perceive the world around us. As a result, there is nature, nurture, and environment. The environment and the genes that contributes to the formation of our mindset. But wait, there's a catch. Depending on the state of mind in which we find ourselves, we can show off a variety of leadership styles. This can have an impact on the kind of environment we create for others. As an example, when we have an action-oriented mindset, we identify ourselves with the result of that action, concentrating on obtaining immediate outcomes. As a result, you may face difficulties on our journey to our desired outcome, can have a negative impact on one's self-esteem. Things may appear to us as a threat, and we may look for someone to blame. This can create a fearful environment for others. Whereas, if we have a long-term impact attitude, we are able to recognize the occasion as something different from ourselves. Recognize the problems with the environment and make room for a discussion. On the other hand, help foster a supportive environment for others. As a result, a mindset functions as a catalyst for the true influence of how we feel, think, and behave. How we communicate our leadership to the rest of the globe. According to our findings, having a positive mindset can help you achieve your goals, can help you gain more leadership experience and keep track of production at a corporate level. This is a basic but effective method of investigating potential within our future businesses. Have you ever been in a difficult situation at work, where you felt at ease or were surrounded by people you trusted? Do you know what piqued your interest? Our professional and personal experiences, these micro moments, in general, define us. These are one-time connections that we make. In a specific setting, they can take the form of eye contact, a grin, or a handshake. Alternatively, you might simply be present. When researching high-performing companies, we discovered a common mood in these micro moments. It is one's sense of responsibility. This is the level of affection and compassion that you have. People have feelings and expressions for one another. there are numerous advantages to having a compassionate mindset. Inside the confines of a workplace, when a loving mindset is present, we discovered that workers have lower absence rates. Burnout is reduced, teamwork is improved, and job satisfaction is increased. Because of its quantifiable worth. PepsiCo, Southwest Airlines, and Zappos are just a few examples. Have begun to include caring explicitly in their management principles. Control is the polar opposite of compassion. This is the level of perceived internal regulation. A certain setting, these environments appear to be mostly made up to us. Policies and processes, both conscious and unconscious. What is the relationship between caring and controlling mindsets? Develop unique dynamics. When we have a control attitude, we are more likely to do things that we don't want to do. We have a tendency to avoid feeling emotions. Our stress chemicals are activated, and we get anxious. As well as being resistive to change, unfortunately, this condition might appear at any time. As acts of emotional exploitation and power, however, there is frequently modeling in a caring mindset. Positive behaviors that are based on values. As a result, our brains produce positive neurotransmitters that increase our capacity to acquire and offer a strong emotional bond. As a result, our thinking becomes more open and are more able to interact with our surroundings. So, what can you do to change your mindset? As a leader, how do you go from being in charge to caring? First and foremost, you must acknowledge the way we present ourselves as employees or as executives is extremely reliant regarding the environment. It is critical to provide favorable working environment that elicits a group's mental power. However, we must also consider how we are assisting social, emotional, and psychological requirements. Then you must demonstrate presence. Everyone, whether a high flyer or a low-wage worker, whether you're a janitor or the vice president of marketing, we all want to be seen, heard, and recognized. And to be looked after. Being present is our most important responsibility. With our co-workers, last but not least, remember to rejoice in times of connection. A brief acknowledgement of a little collaboration can be quite beneficial to one's self-validation. And, at the same time, a strong desire to belong for many others within the corporation. Just keep in mind that caring for the sake of caring is ineffective. Outside of honesty, one can never cheat one's way to success. In a certain relationship, the majority of us have been taught to concentrate. As a default mode of scarcity, a scarcity mindset is always focused on what's missing. Everything appears to be limited under this perspective. Time, money, and love are all factors in the environment. As a result, we become aware of ourselves, or unintentionally, fearful of what might go wrong the majority of the time. This is also true in the workplace. Leaders who instill a scarcity mindset in their organizations pay a hefty sum when resources, such as compensation and opportunity, are limited, or recognition, are thought to be restricted. Politics, suspicion, and fear thrive. People are concerned about their future and fearful of making a mistake. As a result, collaboration and innovation are harmed. A different focus is abundance. The term abundance refers to a large amount of anything. Our self-assurance is fueled by an affluent worldview. Since we are aware that there is sufficient space in the environment and can spend what's left on the most important things, companies that adopt this approach are more profitable. And it's not because they're obsessed with winning. Rather, it's because they're focused on the possibilities. And the formation of synergy. Leaders with an expansive outlook extend their horizons. Must take into account demands, schedules, and previous experiences. To more effectively deploy resources, employees, in turn, locate the necessary space and resources to stay connected to their mission, to think creatively, as well as stakeholder management. To put it another way, inside such settings, individuals are no longer concerned about the future. As a result, they will be able to better coordinate their goals and work together on projects. As a result, higher meaning formation occurs. So, How can you make the mental transition from scarcity to abundance? First and foremost, concentrate on what you have. Whenever you feel as if your resources are spent or limited, make a list of everything you have access to. As well as other people and things in the environment, our brains are capable of storing a tremendous amount of data. Consequently, if you choose to concentrate on what is lacking, there will be no effort put towards focusing on what is offered. Surround yourself with people who are innovative, who can assist you in thinking outside of the box. For a long period, we may feel and think in a specific way. For us, it becomes a way of life. Getting feedback from folks that aren't in our immediate environment and or thinking can assist you in broadening your horizons. In successfully maximizing resources, make an effort to create situations where everyone benefits. If there is a resource allocation, and you believe someone is in danger as a result of the potential of sharing, look for options for all parties to get out with a feeling of achievement. Last but not least, don't compare yourself to others. Concentrate solely on yourself, your individual or team goals. If you must compete, do so inside yourself. Strive to improve yourself or your team on a regular basis. And strive to be on the side of learning at all times and the creation of longer-term meaning. The World Health Organization claims depression is currently the biggest cause of death in the United States. Disability in the world, it affects around 300 million individuals worldwide. According to a recent World Economic Forum report, that mental illness has a worldwide cost by 2030, it would be more than $6 trillion. For businesses all throughout the world, as a result, many firms are increasing their investments into public assistance programs, which is concerned with the well-being of individuals. Unfortunately, concentrating on welfare is insufficient to give employees a stake in the company. In truth, welfare is simply one of the conditions listed. To achieve equitable total compensation, it is important to take the following steps. During our work in organizations, we have seen this firsthand. We come across a lot of people that are quite highly compensated for their task, yet their inner resources are spent. They will occasionally express to us, "I wish the organization would allow me to take an extra week off compared to the spot bonus." So, what's the missing piece in this puzzle? It's because we pay attention to our well-being. It's all about one's comprehensive resourcefulness when it comes to well-being. A well-being mentality takes into account all factors of a human experience, such as one's thoughts and feelings, emotional capacity, and actions, as well as a skill set and competency set. It is equally concerned with the design of the work to spark the environment, connections, and development, in addition to taking into account internal motivation. External sources of motivation. Having a positive attitude can aid in the prevention of health issues, can aid in the development of positive work experiences. However, it is also beneficial to businesses when a leader takes into account all factors necessitated for one's condition of flourishing. They become more attentive in their relationships in response to each individual's distinct requirements. Such an emphasis, according to research, does really lead to more inclusiveness and a sense of fairness among peers. So, can a positive mindset be taught? Yes, it is possible. You can improve your awareness by doing so. By selecting terminology that is more inclusive, permitting phrases like social being, emotional agility, and social being to be used inside your company, there should be an equal distribution of earnings. Relational images can be cultivated and spread that are devoted to one's happiness. As an example, you may query about leverage. A photograph of an employee on a company poster, fostering organizational principles with their permission. This may send a message to other workers that one's health is a priority. To a broader cultural context, you can also concentrate on and place a premium on higher quality connections to honor one's need for cognitive recognition. For example, you might think about gaining a broader viewpoint or inviting folks to a knowledge brainstorming session. Alternatively, to honor one's demand for emotional validation, you can get some practice in approaching discussions or situations that require more empathy. Let's say someone has suffered a loss. You might inquire about what would be beneficial to them. Respect their wants and sentiments at this time. Well-being is increasingly becoming a top priority. Business, as well as a key performance plan. The more you concentrate on comprehensive services, the better. The more opportunities you open up for a fair wage and a sense of belonging. It's easy for us to fall into this trap as leaders. To make a world where we are all perfect, we have the ability to select partners, friends, and employees. Who makes us feel perfect all of the time? We can always act as if we know the answers. However, the question would be, what would we do if we couldn't find helpful criticism that can help us develop? It's a sad fact that we've discovered several defensive processes exist inside organizations. Because it's human nature to be defensive. Self-deception and self-protection. Individuals or groups in a defensive attitude only look for information that will help them stay safe. When truth is perceived as a threat, it can be suppressed. As a result, decisions may be based on assumptions that are incorrect. When people fall subject to their fate, to these kinds of interpersonal relationships, it forces them to close their doors and defend oneself from shame and danger. Individuals shrink as a result of this type of activity, as well as group performance. On the other hand, a productive attitude provides opportunity for deliberation. It serves as a natural foundation for making well-informed and transparent decisions. It aggressively seeks for reliable information that may be tested and offers useful information to assist others in achieving better outcomes. Through the use of group brainstorming in organizations, this multiplies dramatically. Focused on getting results, so the next time you find yourself in this situation, keep this in mind. Attempting to comprehend one's choices or are irritated regarding the obtained or unachieved result. To get into a productive mentality, try the following. First, try to halt the judgmental process. Now, I understand how difficult this is. However, you can think about the types of behaviors. I will judge you if you send that message, and will punish you as a result, and put them on paper. You will gain consciousness as a result of this, and discover the potential to transform them into new behaviors. Rather than conveying the message, I'll assist you in rethinking and learning. Then try to be awestruck. Rather than leaping to judgments, try to figure out why you're inquisitive, what's going on, and how it's going to happen, and ask open-ended questions to actively seek inquiry. Getting involved in a disagreement can be quite beneficial. In the pursuit of common goals, we avoid confrontational situations on a regular basis. However, there are several instances where the purpose can be distinguished. A discussion is the best way to make an impression. It gets a lot easier to handle. Finally, think about how you praise others. Concentrate on the process, effort, and options, rather than the final result. You should be aware that research has shown that persons who are recognized exist. As a result of their efforts, they consistently outperform their prior performance level. Problems, negative feedback, and recessions, to name a few. They are our most valuable learning resources. Keep in mind that 21st century business necessitates. We should all strive to be lifelong learners. Despite the fact that it may not always be pleasant, I strongly advise you to step outside of your comfort zone, as well as allowing oneself to be displaced every now and again. The state of being interconnected is referred to as interconnectedness. A feeling of being connected. In the past, we used to believe that our bodies were responsible for our health. Individuals that worked separately, and as a team, each of us has a distinct role to play. It turns out that our brains and bodies are connected. Similar to distributed networks, there is no action without the other parts. Our cells are inextricably linked. There's a melody to our existence. Similarly, we find that there is a web of interconnection. To the state of our humanity, we rely on team members in the workplace to feel a sense of belonging, and our organizations rely on it on a global network of brains and a variety of items and value-adding service possibilities. When we feel isolated from others, neuroscience reveals that we are experiencing a state of disconnection. Or our well-being, or our surroundings has an adverse effect. At the cellular level, we end up with more inflammation. And we become more vulnerable emotionally. Sadness, anxiety, and depression are all symptoms of depression. The good news is that when we do feel connected, we feel better. We become healthier, and our awareness grows in ways we couldn't have predicted. As a result, we are better equipped to synthesize information. It refers to our ability to mix data emergence, which is our power to create something fresh to determine the result of a combination of elements, and causality, or our ability to identify feedback loops. You get a greater sense of agency and perspective. Isn't that fantastic? So, how do we change our thinking and feelings to reflect this? Integrate. Individuals are brought together through the process of integration. An unconscious gathering into our personality. According to science, the more integrated our brains are, the better. The more resilient and capable we grow, the better off we will be. And this is where it all begins on a personal level. If you're feeling disjointed within, for instance, if you're having trouble, say you committed a mistake because you like aspects of yourself, and you're upset with yourself for a long time, it becomes especially challenging for you to be able to communicate well with others. Second, keep an eye out for intersections. Influences and interfaces. There are areas, sites, and individuals who congregate there to share boundaries and have an impact on each other. Many times, we focus on a single location, a single area. One specialist on the lookout for quick ideas, decisions and solutions. In actuality, we discover that innovation is alive and well. This is especially true within common denominations. Finally, keep your eyes peeled for new opportunities. Rather than opting for safety, at times, try walking into the unknown and trusting. Instead of passive information, share interactive content. Take, for example, a new employee. Alternatively, you may take a cautious risk with a new partnership opportunity. The more you can practice creating trust, the better. From your side, lean toward vulnerability. The more you'll discover about yourself. Awakening of consciousness, as well as an increase in growth and intelligence. We have so much to deal with in the fast-paced world of work. This necessitates our attention. Unfortunately, the farther we go inside our thoughts, the worse it gets. The more unconscious we become of what's going on in the world. Remember, ironically, that feeling connected helps you remember to ourselves and others around us. Our awareness grows, opening up new possibilities. For high-resolution connections, it's a win-win situation. Are you satisfied with your current position? Position to inspire individual or group action. What about incentives? Are you rewarded for achieving personal or team goals? It takes a lot of effort to get teams to work together effectively. Because human beings have an inherent proclivity to do so, to put oneself or a group of people ahead of others. However, collective influence necessitates a significant amount of dedication. An equal dedication from all team members. However, it becomes especially challenging when people are not recognized. Alternatively, you could be compensated for promoting collaborative action. A viewpoint that is shared is one that emphasizes shared responsibility and the sharing of results. It takes into account the connections between pieces and wholes. Stability and change, reason and imagination, rather than the restrictions that separate people, ideas, and locations. It makes the most of variety by embracing differences, considering perceived opposites as interconnected, obtaining facts through a variety of means of comprehension. As a result, leaders that have a group perspective are more effective. Give a safe haven for those who are different. Individuality and neutrality are both celebrated. Peer cohesiveness is warmly welcomed. Although it may seem counterintuitive, we may cultivate a communal mindset in a variety of ways. Inside the confines of a workplace, to begin, you must focus everyone's attention on a single aim. You get a greater sense of agency and perspective. Isn't that fantastic? So, how do we change our thinking and feelings to reflect this? Integrate. Individuals are brought together through the process of integration. An unconscious gathering into our personality. According to science, the more integrated our brains are, the better. The more resilient and capable we grow, the better off we will be. And this is where it all begins on a personal level. If you're feeling disjointed within, for instance, if you're having trouble, say you committed a mistake because you like aspects of yourself, and you're upset with yourself for a long time, it becomes especially challenging for you. To be able to communicate well with others, a common vision must be shared by all parties. A clear picture of how they'll interact and benefit from customized problem solving as a group. Second, you'll need to use the same measurements. All participants must agree on a topic. The criteria through which success will be measured. Measured and communicated. Third, you must create activities that are mutually reinforcing. Relational is, in my opinion, just as vital as rational. If you want to cultivate a group mentality, you must devote time to this. In establishing cross-group collaboration similarly, you must maintain constant communication. To maintain motivation and trust, one of the most significant impediments to a common attitude is the drive to seek credit for all labor and claim it. As a role model, for example, credit should be shared. Can be an excellent signal to raise the level of collaboration within the teams. Maintaining an open line of communication is also important. Can help to build trust. Finally, focusing on adaptive work can be beneficial. Participants can benefit from going through the feedback loops we've discovered. To seek out additional resources and to share ideas. As a result, it coordinates reactions in order to promote cohesion and encourages the development of trust. I recently began writing as a longtime practitioner. The very first piece I ever wrote, my peers provided me with helpful criticism. My essays will be published several times in the future. Were still widely unappreciated. My mind moved to this location to think right away. I'm a poor writer. The concept that our basic talents may be improved is known as a growth mindset. Through hard work and dedication, it is possible to develop and progress. When we have a growth attitude, we are more likely to succeed. We put out the necessary effort to realize our full potential. In some ways, we'd like to see it come to life. A fixed mindset, on the other hand, is a belief that cannot be changed. Our skills are set in stone and cannot be altered. We have a fixed mindset. When we have a fixed mindset, we have a tendency to avoid challenges. Because we don't want to be humiliated or embarrassment in front of others. This could be a problem. As well as our apprehension of making mistakes can lead us to avoid difficulties as well as new experiences that may aid our development and to help others realize their full potential. A growth attitude, on the other hand, can assist us concentrate on the possibilities that lie ahead. I find more pleasure in the process because we know how much we value education and the fear of what others might think of us. Neuroscience has shown us that there are numerous advantages of maintaining a growth attitude. Our muscles relax and we breathe more easily when we are in this state of mind. Our inner capacity substantially expands as a result. There are other advantages for the company. Because our energy spreads like a virus, when we approach opportunities with a fresh perspective, we start working together more. Our collective resiliency improves over time. So, as leaders, how can we transition from a fixed to a growth mindset? First and foremost, learn to listen to your inner critic. Each time you begin a new work or assume a new job, there will be a small voice in your head that says, "Are you certain you'll be able to complete this task? Perhaps you will be unsuccessful." And if you don't succeed, it will tell you, "I warned you not to start from the beginning." Recognize and learn to hear this sound. It's not you, but rather a reflection of yourself. Recognize that you have a decision to make. It is our choice how we think and feel. How do we understand problems, roadblocks, and other setbacks? It is also our option to overcome the obstacles that come our way. If you concentrate on changing your thinking and demonstrating some resolve, you will be successful. Your determination will reveal untapped potential. Retaliate against your inner critic. Tell the voice if it says you can't do it. I'm not sure I'll be able to accomplish it right now. But I believe I will be able to do it with time. And keep track of every time you disprove it. When you're in a bind, strive to remember your fundamental mission. Consider who you are and who you want to be, as well as the legacy you want to leave. Connect to your purpose after that. And take a genuine action in advance despite conventional wisdom. It's a lot less about doing something well when it comes to leadership. It's less about looking a specific way and more about being a certain way. The more we can show folks how to be open-minded, the better. The more conducive an environment we can build where they can appear as themselves, and the more conditions we can create for us to flourish together, the better. Can you recall how many times you approached this person? At the conclusion of a meeting, someone in the room spoke up at the right moment to say, "So, what are your plans for the future?" The truth is that we are fixated with taking action. In the work environment, to be sure, balancing long-term and short-term effects is difficult. For today's leaders, this can be a significant challenge. When we place a higher priority on action than on impact, we frequently find ourselves with an enormous to-do list. We also lose sight of our main goal from time to time. In Latin, the word refold means to fold again, which entails putting our focus inwardly. We can be intelligent and thoughtful with a reflective mindset. Reevaluate old events in a new light and create an environment conducive to the development of novel ideas. There are two methods for reflecting on an event: action-based reflection and action-based reflection. Being in a succession of thoughts is what reflection in action is. While we are engaged on a task, reconstruction is the process of reflection on action. When the assignment has been completed. In the process of learning from that experience. Now, research suggests that this is a more effective strategy. For establishing long-term business growth success, this has a lot to do with how we learn as adults. We, unlike children, learn best via trial and error. By selecting an appropriate time for reflection, we provide a chance for ourselves to be reminded of a similar or previous encounter, consider the future as well as other people's expectations. And only after we've put what we've learned into practice. Otherwise, will be revealed. To relying on mental patterns as a source of information, individual and process bias are frequently confirmed. Here are some important strategies to help you build attention. For action-oriented reflection, consider the situation in depth. So, when you think about what exactly happened, consider what happened in what sequence, who was involved, and so on. What was your part, and what was the end result? Take into account your emotional state at the time. So, what was going through your mind at the time? What were your thoughts on it? Be truthful to yourself. Were you apprehensive, perplexed, irritated, or terrified? If you can appreciate how you felt at the moment, it will assist you in understanding why things occur as they did, and assist you in recognizing similar patterns. Make sense of what's going on. Now, how did the scenario, you, and others, turn out? Interplay at the same time? Was the situation satisfactory or might it have been better? Finally, choose a course of action. So, in the same or a comparable situation, consider the following: what are you going to do differently in the future? Remember that experience isn't something that happens to you, it's what you do with it. The more you understand about perception, the better. The better you get, the more you'll find yourself leading with more authority and promoting long-term action. It's not as simple as picking up a few hints to modify your mindset. From time to time, it's about having a fresh perspective on the world. Inspiring others to adopt new mindsets is a process. Demands us to first accept our own thinking. We all have both good and bad mindsets. Knowing when and where we play is essential. Recognizing specific triggers can be really beneficial. To further our potential in the future, take, for example, what occurs when you come across someone who is superior to you in a particular area. What do you take pride in? What thoughts do you have? Your thoughts are all-encompassing. What makes you believe you ended up there? And how does your leadership style reflect that state? This kind of knowledge will empower you. Those identities will be labeled, and the needful will be done. To get beyond some myths that are working against you, you'll be able to expand capacity once you've untangled those relationships. To be able to deal with complex and difficult situations more effectively, settings in which they are in charge. From there, whenever you see a dominant mindset, write it down. You might want to think about what's holding someone back. What opportunities for growth and learning do you see here? Consider the following questions as well. To bring the other person's attention to anything. So, what kind of influence or legacy do you wish to leave? As a significant part of the team. Which is more important to you, fostering heroism or promoting courage? Or ensuring that everyone has an equal opportunity to develop? Do you want to be a part of the solution to a problem? In this case, or to productivity? Which of these do you believe we should represent as a group? To spark innovation, do you need variety of thinking or groupthink? It significantly aids comprehension. How can you best assist someone who is considering taking a leap of faith? Take a variety of viewpoints into consideration so that you can begin in accordance with a support plan. Being in a position of leadership is now a privilege. Day by day, you get to mold your reality. Ride the waves with your friends and share the happiness. For many more of us, life improves significantly when we are able to nurture, heal, connect, and care for one another in the workplace as leaders. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Please don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. See you in next audiobook.